Continuing our reading in Ragweed and Poppy by Avi, this episode is chapter 15, Poppy's Father, Lungwort. As Sweet Cicely, Poppy's mother, stepped along inside the boot, Ragweed followed. The boot was shadowy, narrow, and airless. It also smelled of old leather. Walls were covered by rough cloth. Only a bit of light came from a couple of small windows that had been chewed through the leather. "You're almost done here," Ragweed reminded himself, eager to be away from these unfriendly mice and to get back to the open road once again. "The only thing worse," he told himself, "than helping helpless creatures is helping unfriendly helpless creatures." Sweet Cicely stopped and made a beckoning gesture to Ragweed. He came forward and peered into the gloom. At the far toe end of the boot, a portly mouse sat on a bed made of white milkweed fluff. His paws were clasped across his bulging belly, and his eyes were closed as if lost in deep thought, or sleep. Ragweed wasn't sure. Though the mouse's fur was a bit scruffy, and his front teeth stuck out a bit, his whiskers were carefully curled. On his head was a thimble, which looked something like a crown. "He's asleep," thought Ragweed, hearing the slight rumble of a snore. "These mice keep their eyes closed too much." Sweet Cicely approached the fat mouse timidly. "Lungwort," she whispered, "here's a stranger who says he knows what happened to Poppy." There was no response from the thimble-headed mouse. "Lungwort," Sweet Cicely coaxed. Lungwort opened his eyes. When he did, he stared down, blinking, at Ragweed without saying anything. Ragweed, not sure how to react, gazed back and waited impatiently. "Lungwort," repeated Sweet Cicely, "this mouse says he has news of Poppy." After a few more moments, with some mild coughing and clearing of his throat, Lungwort spoke. "Now, what kind of mouse are you?" Ragweed sighed. "Hey, Pops, I'm a golden mouse." The mouse, still sitting, drew himself up a little taller. "I beg your pardon," he said. "What did you call me?" Pops. Aren't you Poppy's old mouse?" "I may be Poppy's father, but I am not old. And do not call me Pops. It's vulgar. You may call me by my proper name, Lungwort. Now then, where do you come from?" Some ways from Dimwood Forest, place called the Brook." "Then you've traveled far from your home. Why would you ever do such a thing?" "Hey, Pops, a mouse has to do what a mouse has to do." "I think it wiser for a mouse to do what he's told to do," Lungwort retorted. "What is that thing dangling from your ear?" An earring." "Odd," said Lungwort. "What's it for?" Kind of a memory." "Of what?" "A city." Are you a city mouse or a country mouse?" Not sure." Lungwort frowned. "And your name?" Ragweed." "Ah," he said knowingly, but didn't share his knowledge. Then he said, "And how do you come to meet Poppy?" I was cutting a cruise along the forest, the other side of your creek, not going anywhere in particular, seeing what I could see, when I heard someone calling for help. Turned out it was Poppy, your daughter, right? She was in a trap, a human one, and the trap was shut. Totally tight." A human trap?" said Lungwort. Are the humans who put down the same ones we've seen around here?" "Dude, I don't know anything about that." "I'm not surprised," said Lungwort, "that Poppy should come to such a dreadful predicament. She's far too independent. She sets a bad example." Deciding he had better not say anything about Poppy having her eyes shut as she entered the trap, Ragweed said, "All I know is that that's where she's stuck. Can't get out. The two of us tried to free her, but it was like cracking a nut using feathers. We couldn't do it. You guys need to put some paws to your jaws. Know what I'm saying? Less talk, more traveling. Anyway, she suggested I come here and get help. said you were nice and you would. But the bad thing is that the humans, I don't know anything about the ones hanging around here. The ones who probably put the trap down might come back. So you either send some help today or your daughter might be only yesterday. Get my meaning?
I do not get it, said Lungwort. Where is this trap precisely?
Dude, cried Ragweed, growing ever more exasperated. I told you, cross that creek, down along the meadow, out by the side of that dimwood forest.
Lungwort turned to Sweet Cicely. Did Poppy have permission to go there?
He asked. I don't think so.
Typical, said Lungwort. Not asking permission to go places causes problems and is exceedingly precarious, particularly at a time like this.
What time is it? Asked Ragweed.
Humans have been coming around here. It's troubling. If one mouse goes off on her own, it weakens us all.
Now, whatever, said Ragweed. But I suggest you gather, say, at least a dozen or so, and go out to where she is, and, open the trap, but fast.
A dozen?
Echoed Lungwort, making it seem like a vast number.
That is not the right moment. This is not the right moment.
Hey, I could tell you where to go, Ragweed offered. Like I keep saying, and you don't seem to hear me. You need to hurry.
I shall consider the matter, said Lungwort. You are a golden mouse. We are deer mice. May I suggest we do things differently? We consider things with care. I am constantly warning my household, avoid porcupines, people, raccoons, and strangers. We are cautious.
Hey, Pops, cheese the cautious. You either rescue your daughter or not.
I'm not going to endanger the whole family for one mouse. Besides, it's not for you to tell me what to do, young man, young stranger. As I told you, we have big problems with which to deal. Now, you have my permission to leave. Goodbye.
He turned to Sweet Cicely.
Please show this boy out. And, he called after his wife, now that we know where Poppy is, have them take down the red flag.
But, Ragweed started to say,
goodbye,
Lungwort said again. With that, he tapped his thimble hat, folded his paws over his belly, and closed his eyes. This way, please, said Sweet Cicely. She scurried down along the boot, pausing only to make sure Ragweed was following. A frustrated Ragweed stared, but then stayed with her. Once he stepped beyond the boot, Sweet Cicely looked out and said, Young fellow, I think you had best go back to where you came from. We much prefer to be with our own. And with those words, she closed the curtain, leaving Ragweed alone. Bummer, said Ragweed. It doesn't seem like they're even going to look for Poppy. Mice should be nice, he remembered Poppy saying. Well, these mice aren't nice. Guess I'd better move on. That's the end of chapter 15.